So Thomas, I actually have a few clients who are asking me, with regards to the mortgage, what's going to happen? Is it going to keep going up? Is it going to settle down?
Yes.
What are some of the things that they should do right now? Any steps that they can take, with regards to their mortgage? Because I have clients who have policies with me, and finances are starting to get tight, and I'm usually the guy they come to, whenever there's a bit of hiccups in their finance.
Yes.
Okay, so with regards to mortgage,
Yes.
right? What is the outlook for interest rates? This is a question that I get a lot.
Okay. So as of right now, interest rate is at its all-time high, right? It's the highest it has ever been in the last, I think, 10 years. The last time we saw interest rate go up to this like 4-5% mark was about 10 to 15 years ago. So we're at the unprecedented high. So I'm just going to give you my own case study for reference to give an example to what people should do, right? So I personally am on a 3 months floating SIBOR. So I haven't switched to SORA because I'm under the lock-in period, right? So right now, the next time I do a refinance, I would have to do a partial repayment. So the first point is, as much as you can, do partial repayment, right? But you have to only do it after the lock-in period. So partial repayment basically means now my outstanding loan is 2.5 million. So come the next time I do a refinance, I would probably put in 1 million so that I can lower my loan.
Okay.
So the first advice is to do as much repayment as much as possible, right? So whatever cash on hand that you have, that you think you want to go and invest this and that, unless you're very sure that your investment is going to make you a high returns.
Right.
If not, you will get burned both ways. That means your investment goes south, and then your mortgage is not paid, and then you're paying high interest as well.
Right.
Okay, so that's the first thing. Do partial repayment as much as you can, right?
Okay.
The second thing is, I do foresee that interest rate, this is just, don't quote me on this. I do foresee that come mid of this year, the interest rate should start to go down.
Okay.
So anybody who's going to do a refinance or anything like that, I would say bite the bullet and go float. I wouldn't fix it at 3.5 right now, yes, because I am right now on 4.5 and it's very xiong. So I've already been paying 4.5. It doesn't make sense for me to lock it even further, right? I would just I've already bitten the bullet for so long. I would just hope that it will go down. And I don't think it can go up anymore, much more.
Okay, because I understand that it's already been tapering down, right?
Yes.
The increases have been, from 0.05
Increases has been
to
tapering down,
0.5,
yeah.
So I think the latest one was 0.2 if I'm not wrong.
Yep.
I may be wrong, I have to go and check it out. So what I hear is that, in order for the effects of this increase of interest to be seen, right? Because the reason why they increase the interest is because they want the inflation to go down.
That's correct.
But for inflation to go down, it will take like a whole year, around a year before you start to see the effects of it.
Correct.
So technically speaking, we're gonna have to see this situation until maybe mid of next year. This is what I'm hearing from
mid
my
of next year.
friends,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
They're saying that only mid of next year, then you start to see the rates go back down.
Yes.
Right? But when it goes down,
Yes.
it's probably gonna go down as quickly as it did come up.
Wow.
That's what I hear.
That's
what I hear. I'm not sure.
Yep.
This is what I hear from some of my friends who are bankers.
Yes.
Right? These people are, looking at interest rates every day.
I personally do not think that interest rate will go back down to 1 because we're talking about we have been experiencing like a 1% interest rate for the longest time. And 1% interest rate, it is helpful for the economy. But it's not very helpful at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So back to my own example, and this is what I see happening on the ground. When interest rate was low, when I had spare cash, I went to anyhow spend the money. Because I don't want to pay mortgage. Why would I want to pay mortgage when interest rates are so low?
So what do you mean is that when interest rates went up, you didn't anyhow spend money?
No, when the interest rate went up, I would use all the money that I have, all the surpluses, and I would go and do the partial repayment.
Right,
that's what I would do, and that's what I would advise.
I guess we have a very different definition of what is anyhow spend money lah.
Yeah. So that's what I would do. That's what I would advise people to do, to pay as much as possible, to not take up so much loan.
Okay, so reduce your entire loan. I guess for private property, this would be a very good move because in future, if you want, you can always refinance.
That's
right?
absolutely
you can
right.
Gear up.
Absolutely right.
Right.
Yeah.
But for like BTO, all those you can't really do that.
So it depends on which financial institution you're taking a loan from. If you're taking a loan from HDB, it's fixed at 2.5, 2.6, and that has been fixed for the longest time. So people who are paying that amount of interest are already used to it.
Okay.
So unless you switch to bank loan, which doesn't make sense now because bank loan is crazy high right now.
Yeah.
So if you are already paying your mortgage to the HDB via HDB loan, then just stay there. At 2.5 is very low right now.
It's really low.
It's really low because now you're comparing with bank interest of all over percent.
Okay.
But back then when bank interest was 1%, HDB at 2.5, you'd be like, wow, HDB loan is very expensive.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
so different times call for different strategy. So right now the strategy is be prudent, don't anyhow spend money,
Okay.
and just use it to pay off as much loan as you can, and
Okay.
don't incur so much interest.
Okay, so the first step would be to do a partial repayment
Yes.
if possible lah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I would say go for float lah. I would say go for float. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't fix lah. But of course, if you are risk adverse, you'll be like, wow, what if interest rate goes up to 6%? Then you want to fix. No wrong in doing that.
What do you think? Do you think interest rate will actually go all the way up to 6%?
Okay, that's a very good question. So it's a chicken and egg, right? And
Yeah.
here's the chicken and egg situation.
Yeah.
If interest rate were to go up to 6%, fixed D also have to give you 6%. Because the bank would have to get a lot of money in so that they can lend it out. So the question is, do you think fixed D will go up to 6%?
We never know. I never thought it will go up to even like 4-5% that we are seeing right now. So
That's why I said
it's very hard to predict.
exactly, right? That's
Yeah.
why I said this whole interest rate thing is unprecedented for the last 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
So if fixed D do go up to 6%, right? Then the question is, would fixed D be the best place to put your money, or would there be other investment vehicle, right? And I don't think, I personally don't think that fixed D going up to 6% is going to happen anytime soon. I personally think so.
I guess for when it comes to fixed Ds as well, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people have this misconception that I put in this money, I'm going to get 6% of my money. If I put in 100K,
Yes.
I'm getting 6%.
Yes.
But what a lot of people fail to see is that there's actually like a certain tenure,
Oh,
right? Sometimes it's only for 3 months.
yes.
Sometimes it's only for 3 months. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's for 6 months. Sometimes
Yes.
it's for 8 months.
Yes.
So I guess this is something that people need to take note of as well.
Yes.
Like, how long is the fixed D for? What's the actual effective interest rate that you're getting? Is actually very different.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that there is this misconception that fixed D, assuming it's 6%, you
Yeah.
put 100K in, you get 6% of 100K. That's not how it works. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. So
The effective interest rate may be very different.
So roughly, I mean, let's not get too technical with the numbers, but roughly, how would you calculate that 6%, assuming 100K?
Okay, so if it's 6%, 100K, let's say it's for 6 months. So the effective interest rate is only 3%. It's only for half a year, ma.
Or because it's per annum.
Correct.
So
So the interest rate is always counted per annum.
Ah,
But the actual effective interest rate is a lot lower.
okay, because of the
Right.
tenure.
Correct. So sometimes what happens is that people look at this as a whole, right? They say, "Wow, I'm getting 6% from my investment."
Yep.
Right. But there could have been other investment vehicles which are maybe giving them 5%,
Okay,
4.5%, for
Okay.
example. But that's for a full year.
okay,
So the total amount that they get back, right, will be different.
Okay.
Of course, there's a lot of factors involved. Whether
Okay.
the reinvestment is it higher or
yes,
not.
yes,
But generally, this is something that people need to take note of, like.
yes, yes.
Right? Also, there's also another thing that you have to take note of, whether it's compound interest or is it simple interest. This is also another thing that sometimes people mix up.
Okay,
right?
so you got to do another video on compound interest and simple interest. 'Cause it sounds like another topic for another day. But it's very interesting. Like, what people need to realize is this thing called the per annum. Because if it's 6% per annum and your lock-in is on 3 months, you're not getting 6%.
Yes.
Okay, that's a very good thing to know.
Yeah.
So did I answer your question with regards to what I think? Like,
So far, okay.
what are questions?
So now we know that the one of the best things you can do right now is to do a partial repayment.
Yeah, and be
right?
prudent and make sure that you're buying something well within what you can afford. And my rule of thumb is, if you have at least 50% of the intended purchase price, then go for it. Assuming you want to buy a $1 million property, you make sure you have at least $500,000 before you go for it.
Okay, wait. So this is for new property purchase.
Any property purchase.
Okay, no. Now we're talking about existing people with mortgages.
Existing people with mortgages.
Okay, so existing people with mortgages, what they can do is actually
partial repayment
do
as
partial
much
repayment
as
the
you
best way
can.
to go lah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the
That's
best way
right.
to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also depending on how much interest you're paying, right? If you're paying, like for me, I'm paying crazy high interest rate right now. So I wouldn't lock because I'm already paying crazy high. I would think what goes up must come down, and the next eventual natural course of action for interest rate would be to go down.
Okay, so another thing that you're saying is for those people who are already on floating rate,
Yes.
don't rush to fix it now.
Yes, that's what I would think, because that's not what I would do. I would just wait out and
Okay, because there's
Yeah.
a chance that it might go down in a very short while. But if you lock in, how long is it usually when you lock in? Is it 1 year, 2 year, 3 years?
There are different packages, but 1 to 3 years is the typical. I think 2 to 3 years is the typical, right? And within this 2 to 3 years, something that you need to know is that you cannot do partial repayment within this 2 or 3 years. You cannot.
So once you lock in, you
That's
can't
correct.
do a partial repayment.
Okay, so yes, let me give you an example, right? If today I buy a property for $1 million, so I took a loan of 750,000, 75% loan to value. Now, assuming I won the lottery, I won 750,000, I want to go to the bank, I want to pay off the loan because I don't want to pay interest anymore.
Okay.
Now, if I'm under the lock-in rate,
Okay.
if I want to pay off my outstanding loan, I would have to pay a bank penalty.
Okay.
So it's typically, it ranges from 1 to 3% of the loan amount. So if my loan is 750,000, it could be 3% of 750,000 that I need to bear in terms of penalty.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Okay,
be
okay.
sure to check with your bankers in terms of when your lock-in period is over, what's your outstanding. Yeah, so plan that way.
Is it also possible to talk to the bankers and see whether if let's say I'm going to do a lock-in,
Yes.
for example,
Yes.
but with flexibility,
Yes.
right? Which means in between I can come and say, hey, I want to change to the newer rate.
Yes.
What is that called?
Okay, so like I said, there's all different packages. Some packages allow you to switch unlimited. Some packages allow you to switch one time. So it depends on the bank at the current point, what kind of promotions they're having, what kind of package you're signing up for.
Okay, so basically you want to check whether there's switching possible.
Yes. Whether or
Okay.
not the switch is possible.
So now we know prepayment,
Yes.
repayment,
Partial repayment. Yeah.
You can also do floating for now.
Yes.
If you really need to fix it, you fix it. Don't fix for too long. Don't
Yes.
do like fix for 3 years or
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
And at the same time, check what are the possibilities of switching.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So these are the 4 things to take note of.
Yes. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of questions do people? What are people asking? Like on the ground, on the insurance front, right? What?
Because we also have certain products which have premium loans,
Yeah.
right? No, sorry, not premium. We also have certain products which are we have certain products which do premium financing,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
which means you take a loan from the bank
Mm-hmm.
to pay the premium.
Okay. Take a
Okay.
loan from the bank.
So of course, they are also paying interest lah.
Yep.
So, but this is only interest only. There's no
Okay.
there's no you pay interest plus the what's that called? The
Principal.
capital, the principal.
Principal. Yeah.
So there's no paying principal plus interest plus principal.
Yep.
So the thing is, I do have a few clients coming to me and asking, what's going to happen.
Yep.
And it's very closely tied to property in a sense,
Yep.
right? Because the interest rate affects both the same way,
Yep.
right? And also for my clients who have such policies, I also tell them the same thing. Do a partial repayment
Yep.
or a full repayment if you actually have the cash lying around.
Yep.
Because for a lot of these clients who did like premium financing, right, they actually do have some they do have some cash lying around. It's just that they don't want to park everything inside.
Yes.
Right? And back then it made sense to actually do premium financing because the interest rates were so low.
Exactly.
So that's why I wanted to hear about the mortgage as well. Because this is the same thing that my clients will also face,
Yes.
right? Those who got to do premium financing especially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a very interesting story on this front, right? I've got a client today who's asking me, do I foresee prices of property to drop considering that interest rates is so high, right? And then we're talking about watches as well, like Rolexes, APs and stuff like that.
Okay.
So his question to me was, if the prices of luxury item is dropping and market is not doing very well, interest rate is high, like why would it dampen the luxury market but not dampen the property market? I think that's a very interesting question, right? Like if the prices of cars, watches, everything is dropping, how come property price is still so resilient? So thought about it, I thought about it logically, and I thought this was a very good way to explain it, right? So the moment you buy a property, you take a loan and the tenure goes like 25, 30 years, right? So it is almost impossible. Over the course of 25 to 30 years, your interest rate is low throughout. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
So maybe the first 10 years is low. The next 10 years has to be high because everything is cyclical, correct? So anybody who's buying a property, especially if you're buying to stay, you have to buy means you have to buy because you need a place to stay. And people do understand that it will be cyclical. Even if it's low today, 3 years down, 6 years down, 10 years down, it might not be low.
Okay.
So even if interest rate is high today, people still need to buy a property to stay. Now, but then back to the question, like, why does it impact the luxury market and not so much on the property market, is exactly what I just told you. Because a lot of people with excess cash, which could have been made to good use by buying luxury product, they hold back on that and they use it to do the partial repayment. And that is the reason why, you know, cars and watches and this and that, the prices might go down. But property price,
it's smarter to pay off your property rather than buying all this unnecessary.
So it doesn't necessarily have a correlation between what's happening in the luxury market, car market versus real estate. I think that's very important to know.
So another thing that I was hearing some of my friends, and also in the grapevine, people are talking about how there's going to be some fire sales this year.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Of property, especially the high-end property or the landed properties and stuff like that, because people are unable to pay off their mortgage.
Yes.
Right? Of course, with the interest rates being so high, for a lot of them, it became unsustainable. Really.
Yes. Yes.
So
what do I think?
What do you think?
Okay.
Like, is that really going to happen?
Okay.
Or,
Now I'm going to explain this concept to you, right? This concept is called the cost of replacement. The cost of replacement.
Right.
Now, if these people sell off their high-end properties at a low price, they do need to find the next place to stay as well.
Right. So a lot of them, they might actually downgrade.
Downgrade, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing: if the cost of replacement is high, are they able to sell it at a dirt cheap price? That's the first point that you need to understand.
Right. So it may not be a fire sale.
It may not be a fire sale for very logical reasons, right? So just now I mentioned, right? A very prudent thing to do would be to set aside 50% of your money before you even buy the property. So if you want to buy 1 million, you make sure you have $500,000.
Right.
So in the event if interest rate goes up, you still have money to slowly tank. This is a very prudent way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Now, this is my way of explaining to you.
Right.
The government has their own way, and I'm sure you know, loan to value. You need to have at least 25% of the property before you can buy.
Right.
So considering that they already have 25% of the property, even if interest rate has gone up, and I'm sure you know TDSR.
Yeah.
So the government has already done what we call a stress test to make sure before I loan you the money, I know that you are able to survive in a 4-5% interest rate environment. So how would that happen logically?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Before you can even get your loan approved by the bank, they would have looked at your income, done a stress test on your income, and know that you can survive in I think currently the stress test is 4.5%.
No, but I mean, this is based on the property, right? Like in current day and age. But in the past, when people bought this places, right?
Yep.
These condos or these landed properties, back then the situation was very different. Your loan to value was very low.
No.
Right.
No, it has been 20 to 25% for the longest time. And also like what you said, if they have bought it a long time ago, there's a good chance like 50-75% of the property is fully paid.
Right.
So they are very low on loan right now. Very comfortable right now.
Okay. So and also back then there was no TDSR and MSR. Right?
Started in 2013.
2013, yeah. So a lot of people, they would have all this property long ago.
So back to that point, right? If they have bought before 2013, there's a good chance the big chunk of their loan is already paid up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the property would have appreciated, so they don't have to fire sale it.
Right. But I mean, fire sale also depends on the market rate, right?
Yep.
Because to them, it may not be fire sale, it will still be a profit.
Yep.
But if, let's say, it was not during this time,
They could have sold for higher. They could have made a lot more, yes.
Right.
But coming to that fire sale point, right? Fire sale requires desperate sellers. If they had bought it at such a cheap price, they paid off a bulk of their loan, they wouldn't be that desperate.
Okay.
But when we talk about desperate people, we're talking about people who, like what you said, right? The loan, maybe they took a 90% loan to buy the property. They are bleeding through. Back then it was possible.
Okay.
I think, I'm not very sure, but I think in some parts of Malaysia you can overloan. I loan 120%.
Right.
So I loan 120%, I get a 20%, I use it for down payment. So essentially I only have to put my signature and just buy the property.
Right.
Yeah, but of course, that's why in Singapore, these things is very less likely to happen because the government has set in place a lot of regulations.
Okay.
To make sure that this kind of kinky deals, they don't happen.
Okay.
And everything is regulated.
Right.
Yeah. So and one very interesting thing that you can also tell your clients is, right, Singapore is very different from a lot of countries in the world because of how the government regulates the market, right? In terms of making sure that you have the ability to have 1/4 of the down payment, making sure you have the ability to pass the stress test, TDSR, right? Making sure that you don't sell your property in the first 3 years to prevent people from flipping. And with all these measures in place, we call this the floodgate. Floodgate means even if the economy is super bad, right? Property market is set to go down, right? Government can easily tweak these measures to regulate the demand. So now people cannot buy multiple properties because of ABSD.
Okay.
Right? If the government feels that, look, property market might go down, they can easily just remove ABSD. How many people would want to buy multiple properties? Everybody would want to rush to buy more. So
sure.
with demand, then the prices will either it will just balance out the whole thing.
Okay.
So I would say that Singapore is a very man-made safety level in terms of property.
Okay.
It's artificial. So even if there's a recession, government can just easily tweak those things.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I think. And fun fact for you, this year 2023, right? There's going to be 40 new launches. 40 new launches, right?
Wait, how many were there last year?
Wow. I'm not exactly sure of the numbers, but the last from 2019 to 2022, we had a lot of new launches as well. A lot. Yeah, but this year alone, this year and 2 to 3 years moving forward, we're going to have 40 new launches. And this only shows one thing, right? Developers have already bought the land. They've already had X amount of sunk costs. Construction, labor, materials, all that stuff. They would have done what we call a feasibility study. Whether or not the market is able to support them being able to sell off. If not, they wouldn't buy the land. So they've made the move, they bought the land, and we're expecting 40 new launches coming up this year. And I don't foresee them not being able to do it because developers always manage to sell their properties. Always.
At most they give a discount, right?
At most they give the discount or they incentivize the agent. And the thing is, right, the government will not allow developers to die.
Okay.
Because the developers bought the land from
government.
And they took a loan from the
government.
From the bank.
Oh, from the bank. Okay.
So it's a tripartite relationship between the government, the bank, the developers. They've done their feasibility studies. Government has already set in some regulations involved.
Right.
And as you can see, prices of luxury goods are already dropping. So you can see a lot of people are already saving up their surplus cash for partial repayment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't think it's as gloomy as it seems in the real estate market. I do feel that jobs will be impacted for sure, right? Especially like tech sector. Tech sector is already affected, right? A lot of industries are not doing as well. But I do feel that in Singapore context, the government has really done a lot to make sure that even if the economy were to tank, there are certain measures that they can tweak to let the demand come back in, to stabilize the price. Okay, so that's all for today. It was nice talking to you.
It was nice talking to you.
Okay.
Thanks for...
See you soon.
See you guys soon.